Cumberland School Committee Fiscal Finance Management Subcommittee meeting to order Thursday, May 20th at 5:02 p.m. in accordance with Governor Dan McKee's Executive Order 2140 dated April 28, 2021. The Cumberland School Committee intends to conduct this meeting remotely. The public can participate in this meeting remotely, but not in person, by calling area code 646-558-8656. The webinar ID is 923-9925-3628, or you can join us on the Zoom platform by going to the Cumberland School Department events calendar at our website and enter in the passcode 797199. So we need approval of the agenda, compliance with the governor's executive order 2140, discussion and a vote whether is public access to the meeting through adequate alternate means. And I see there is people from the public here as well. So I would say there's adequate means. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Thank you. Alex is here. All right. Next is we have approval of the minutes from April 29, 2021 and May 5th, 2021. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins.
Mr. Chair, I can only second for the May 5th, 2021, as I was not there for the April 29th meeting.
That's fine. All right. So we have a motion and a second for the May 5th, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. And I need a motion to approve the April 29th, 2021 minutes. Mr. Collins?
I'm sorry, 29 minutes, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I'll motion.
Mr. Collins makes a motion to approve. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 2-0 with Mrs. Smith not voting since she wasn't here at the meeting. Next is payment of bills. We have bills in the amount of $2,697,829.96. Does anyone from the Finance Subcommittee have any questions in regards to the payment of bills? Mrs. Smith?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have quite a few different questions. The first
Okay.
being related to the iPods. If
What-
somebody could advise why that is on there and why it's being approved. I do not recall a resolution coming to us related to this.
iPads or iPods?
It's under there as Apple.
Right,
So
it shows there's about 4 invoices altogether, is that correct?
Yes, that is
Mr.
correct.
Chandler, do you know what these are?
Those are iPads that were budgeted for special ed.
Special ed. And are they coming out of the special ed budget?
Yes.
They are. And me and Mr. Smith did bring up a valid point that it didn't come in front of us for approval in regards to this because it's over $5,000.
Okay. I'll talk to Alex. We'll get a resolution.
Mr. Pregnano, can you get us a resolution for those 4 line items on page 2?
Alex.
He's muted. You're muted, Alex.
Muted, Alex.
All right, what's the next question, Mr. Smith?
Apologize, I'm going through
Right.
it quickly as I'm looking to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Mhm.
If we can go to the next one for Hub Tech, if somebody could advise what that is, because again, that I believe is over $100,000. And
Uh,
I don't know what this is for and how it relates to any resolution.
There was a
The-
resolution a few months, I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say a resolution a few months ago that we went ahead and purchased the
Wireless.
Not gonna say their iPads, but Chromebooks for the students and staff.
Okay, so that's what the hub tech is for then. It's specifically
Yeah.
for those Chromebooks that we had approved already.
Right.
And does anybody recall what resolution that was?
Mr. Pagano, do you know what resolution that was?
Alex,
No, I don't know the number of the resolution. I didn't expect it to be asked. I can find out.
is that yeah, we
It
can
was a
look at,
resolution we passed. I don't have them.
Right.
I don't know the number.
That's fine. I'll go back and look. I just didn't understand exactly what it was for, but based upon how it was on the billing.
Right.
So I appreciate that. Another one that we have that I don't understand is it's for Dana Osweski, which
Yep.
are evaluations and district-wide clinical consult.
She is on the contract for the school district to do all the consultations and stuff for the district, and that's been going on now for at least 10 years, 12, 10, I'm sorry, I've been on the school committee for
Yeah.
9 years, so she's been around for at least 9 years anyways.
Okay.
And she's under contract to the special ed department to provide all those services that we have.
Okay. All right. So it is all related to the special ed.
Yeah,
Yeah. I wasn't quite sure if it was related to more like how the nurses check vision and things like that. So I just didn't understand. So thank you for clarifying.
no, that's fine. Yeah, those bills have gone up year after year after year as we get more students that require services.
Right. That would make sense. And the only other one I believe that I had a question on was relating to the rental of a rider truck.
Do you know what page it's on? Does it say what page in the,
Oh, I apologize. I should be going and looking at page numbers.
right,
Um,
it's in the bottom right-hand corners.
yes, I've just gotta get back into where I was.
Okay.
It's on page 28.
Okay,
So I just wasn't sure what the rentals were for. I mean, it's nothing that needs a resolution, but I just wasn't sure what that rental was for.
I could answer if it's part of that.
go ahead if you can.
We've rented it a few times to pick up materials. We usually use the Sodexo food truck for that, but the
Right.
truck was out for repairs and Chromebook cards had to be delivered to buildings and items like that had to be picked up from the state. So we had rented a truck for that
Okay,
through the state's purchasing partnership with Ryder.
okay,
Okay.
all right. Anything else that we may have?
I believe that answered all of my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Collins, do you have any questions at all?
I do not. Thank you.
You do not. All right, so we have a motion. Mr. Pignano can get us those resolutions that we needed on the laptops, but in the meantime, we have payment of bills of $2,697,829.96 for the 2020-2021 school year. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins.
I will second with conversation or with discussion. I just want
Sure.
to make sure that we have that resolution before this bill is paid so that we can at least see it. I'm concerned about paying something before we've even seen it and that we're backtracking at this point.
Okay, that's fine. We can hold that out. Mr. Pignano, can you get us the resolution for that? And then just include it in our packet, and we can pay those invoices. Can you hear me, Alex? Hello?
We'll follow up on that, Mr. Demonica.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to pay those bills other than the Apple until we get the copy of the resolution for the iPads.
Yeah.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it 3-0 with that notation about the Apple computers. Okay, next on this is the Business Office Monthly Report, Mr. Pignano. Can you hear us there?
Yes, I can, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, so,
On the April monthly report, we had some improvement in what we're forecasting. And maybe it's just best to go to the last page and I can summarize it for you, unless there's any questions on any particular department. Does everyone have the report open?
yeah, I do it. I have it open, but it's some of the text went onto a page by itself, Alex.
Let me know when you have it.
Well, are we looking at the page that says January, February, March, and April?
Right.
Okay,
So to the right, you see that's what the projections were at the end on those various reports that we've submitted during the year.
right,
See now, as of April, we're projecting over $500,000, and down below under it, I summarize what happened, what changed from the previous month. Now, those aren't necessarily the balances in those accounts. Those are changes in the balances in
Right.
those accounts. So for example, if you look at facilities, it says a minus 277 because we're doing that high school security project. Facilities isn't overspent 277,000 because there's other funds that we didn't spend, the glycol money we had for purifiers and other sorts of stuff. But those are
Right.
changes from the March report to the April report.
okay,
So you can see the big thing that I've added is the infringed benefits charge off to various grants. That's why we talk about the report always having some bit of conservatism in it. As the year goes on, we look at who's been paid out of the grants and we go in and we charge off certain things into those grants. And so I've looked at that. It looks like the amount could be up about $274,000 during the year for this year.
okay,
Also, the other big one there, the healthcare fringes, we're down a few people in the admin fee. Our admin fee the last few months has come down, and it looks like we'll have about $142,000 potential positive balance there. Charter vocationals, we got the Woonsocket bill in. There's only four students at Woonsocket this year, so we paid very little to them for the vocational school, and we'll have some additional money in that account. And so the charter and vocational line items improved by about 70,000.
Yep.
Transportation, the settlement that we're talking about based on a school calendar, if we go forward with that later tonight,
right,
that would be added into the transportation budget. Technology, I expect we'll spend that money. That's $77,000 right there, because we haven't yet purchased certain things that we're looking to do, service and some things for our labs. Mike and I have been working on that, and I think we'll be going forward on that, and we'll spend that amount of money and maybe more. And then
Okay.
and then the facilities that we recently just awarded that $260-something thousand project to complete the renovations of those rooms near the auditorium.
right,
And so those are the biggest things that changed between the March and April report, which now shows us at about 537. So 489, 346, 339, 537, all of it's within a 0.5% of the budget.
right, okay,
Then, I can go through more detail if you want, but we got an awful lot on tonight. I'm happy to answer questions or go through,
anyone
Go
have
through
any
the report
questions
in more
to the,
detail.
go ahead, Mrs. Smith?
Thank you.
I did
Mrs.
send
Chair.
this report based on a request of the council, also to the town council and the mayor. They've asked that they get the report each and every month. They wanted it for their meeting last week, but I told them that the school committee hadn't yet received it, and I send it to, I'd like to make the presentation to the school committee before the council and anyone else has it. So, but they will
Okay.
have it now.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you. Since we're looking at this through April, I would think that we do not want this transportation 210,000 included here, because that would be a projected May through June based upon what occurs with votes later. So does that mean that our April then increases by that 210,000? Because we should be looking at actual at this point.
Yeah, if you don't approve the Durham proposal, then you wouldn't pay the 381, you wouldn't pay this 210, you would go to court in a legal suit.
That's for a conversation later. I'm just,
Right.
I'm
The
just
381 I built in long ago because we kind of knew that was where they were going. And then Steve and I have been working on this year in, resolving that suit. And one of the things they wanted to resolve the suit was to also get the 45% of days that they didn't use buses this year. The same, exactly what they requested last year, that they get paid 45% of days that buses didn't necessarily go on the road because of their fixed costs that they still have to keep that fleet in place.
right. But the
Right.
200, I'm only specifically looking at the 210,000 that's on here, Alex, because I'm looking at this. This is what has occurred through April. So why would the 210,000 be on?
No, that's not what has occurred through April. That is on there because in my projections, I'm projecting, just like the 381, we haven't paid that yet either, but I have it built into the number. I have the worst case scenario as far as how it would affect this budget. Even though I think it's the best case scenario for the district to settle that case, in this budget, there would be some costs that we had savings of 900,000, for example, last year in transportation. We'd be given 381 of that back. So I built that in here.
So that's within the projections of May and June. So I guess,
Right. These are all projected to be June 30th numbers.
Okay. And that's all
As
I
of
was
April.
wondering. Right. That's all I was wondering is that April number of 537, if it's inclusive of the 210, but that April number then is just a projection.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, in the past, what we would do is if we were like one year, we did band uniforms as the year got towards the end of the year. So we had Mr. Trignano put that on the sheet here, with the savings that we have, so that the band, I think, was 55,000. So he's sort of encumbering it on this sheet here, saying if we spend it and go forward, here's where the balance will leave us at the end. So this is kind of the way the finance office has done it in the years. So
yeah, for example, if you look at charter schools, there's a number of what we've spent to date. Then there's a number for May and June that I expect to still pay. Some of the charter schools haven't yet been paid their fourth quarter or haven't set their fourth quarter bill in. I know what that bill is going to be based on who's there and what the first 3 quarters would be. So I build it in.
Okay. And that's all I wanted to know.
Or I would be showing numbers that are unrealistic that I know are going to disappear once I pay a bill.
Right. So that's all I wanted to do is to re-clarify. These are just inclusive of projections. In this case, this is just a vote projection that hasn't occurred and cannot be discussed at this time until later. So thank you.
Right.
Any other questions in regards to the monthly report? Mr. Prignano, I got one for you, and that was members of the town council didn't like the report we gave them last night. That they wanted more details, like they wanted to know when the junior dance was going to be, when the prom was going to be, things like that, in their report that they get from us monthly. I don't know whether
a report that I give them.
yeah.
Oh.
I don't know whether Dr. Thornton wants to have the senior class advisors or the junior class advisors attend their meeting and give them the update that they were looking for, but we give them the monthly report, and now they're looking for more details. It was especially Mr. Schmidt wanted more details about things happening in the school system itself and not just the report. I don't know how we're gonna go about doing that one. You know,
Well, I'm
Well,
happy to answer any questions on the report, but those
Right.
other things I really don't know.
right, Mr. Mitchell?
of course, that would not be Alex's responsibility to submit that information with his financial report. But I mean, certainly, if the council wanted, a student government report similar to what the school committee gets, I mean, I'm sure that, the student government would be more than happy to do that. So that's something that we can discuss with Mr. Costa, who is going to be part of the superintendent's report
Yeah,
this evening.
I found it odd that they wanted that kind of information from the business office monthly report, but that's what they asked for, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate them. Okay, anyone else have any questions for Mr. Prignano in regards to this part of his monthly report? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Prignano, do you have anything else for the
No,
monthly report?
no, I don't. Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
All right, next we have Shauna from Sedesco. Shauna? You there? You feeding the baby?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just going
Okay.
to try to share my screen quickly. Perfect. So I just wanted to quickly update everyone on the April finances.
Yeah,
So this first column, K, you can see all of our expenses, our products, labor, controllables, totaled out at about 99K for the month of April. And that brings us to a total of 573,000 for the year.
mhm,
And the second half of the document, you can see the revenues. Again, with that higher free and reduced that we're getting right now because of the pandemic, all of our meals are classified as a higher reimbursement. So our breakfast reimbursement and our lunch reimbursement are definitely skyrocketing, way over than what we projected when we did this budget almost 2 years ago. So again, our total revenues were 141K for April. That
Wow.
puts us at a profit of a little over 40K for the month of April, which puts us at 127K for the year, which is over our guarantee and definitely over what we projected by about 150. So we were actually doing a worst case scenario for this year also, going into the pandemic, not knowing what was going to happen. So that's why you see that a negative 20K is what we were projecting, hoping
Right.
to certainly break even by June.
mhm.
16 operating days in April. Again, not terribly a profitable month with the break usually. And then May is a very large month for revenue we're going into right now. So questions that anybody has for April finances?
Oh, looks good for me.
Yeah, certainly a very profitable year because of the reimbursement rate. And certainly that's why, Alex and I have been talking about some of the updates we can do that we've sort of been waiting for the opportunity. With
Right.
so much revenue, as you know, it has to go back into the food service program per ride. So we do have a very large project, which would be, I know you're going to be speaking about later, is the walk-in renovation here at our high school, which is our hub for storage and receiving commodity items and also supporting all the offsites. So we've been, working diligently on that. And if anybody has any questions, I can answer that.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Shauna in regards to the food services? Mr. Smith, go ahead.
Yes, I just had one question, Shauna. I believe that maybe you were already approached, that there was potentially some spam messages going out for parents that they had a balance, and the balance ended up to be exactly what their credits were. So has that been looked at and resolved? I'm just wondering how the information could have been so precise and how the spam people would have gotten that information.
Yeah, certainly. So well, let me just shed some light. It wasn't a spam message. It was sent from our system that automatically sends a balance to the emails that are tied to it. We did send it inappropriately because it did both positive and negative. Typically, we just do a negative report. So the system actually used a template that sent an account summary of a positive or a negative instead of just a negative. So people did receive a notice that said, you know, you're supposed to be paying your account and this is the balance. Usually there's a negative in there. So if it was a positive number, it wouldn't have a negative. And we actually sent it to the seniors because we're anticipating with their senior obligations that most of their debts are paid with the school lunch balances included in that.
Right.
Typically, we start doing that this month to prepare for their last day.
So are we looking then, and I understand why it was done, and thank you for that explanation. I was concerned that people were saying that they got spam messages. So I very much appreciate that you've already looked into it and managed that. But if it's my understanding, if it's correct, anybody wishing to buy those extra items that are not covered under the US package for the lunch, this I guess specifically is related to the high school, they're unable to do that unless there is a balance on their account. Is that correct?
That's true. Yep. They have to have money on their account. We've actually been passing out flyers of how to do that, which is just, again, logging into your My School Bucks account and loading money onto your student. This is something that we've been doing for years.
Right.
We've had a lot of good feedback with the students, but certainly a la carte items cannot go in the negative.
Right.
So if they had money on their account from last year, we've had a lot of positive deposits in that system.
Right. So how are we clearing up the negatives then? Because it would seem to me then the negatives would be residual from last school year?
That's correct. Yep. They're carried over year to year. So negative accounts every single year roll over, and we certainly target the seniors because of their they are graduating.
So perhaps we need to go out then, Mr. Chair, just looking at this saying, you know, we've been under a pandemic and these changes since March of 2020. It would seem to me that we should be clearing out these negatives, not just for the seniors, but across the board and having them resolved.
We have tried that, Mr. Smith, including going to a collection agency as well to get parents to pay, and you know, they ignore us. I mean, we try to get them to pay, we try to get the seniors to pay and so forth, but the parents don't care. If their daughter or son is running up a balance, they run up a balance, and then they say, well, I didn't tell them they could buy anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I send them to school with an apple and lunch. So, you know, it's a constant battle for the school district to try to get them to pay their bills.
So perhaps we can at least get a report then for our next meeting telling us estimated how many accounts are in those negatives throughout
Sure.
the district, and then what that net amount is.
Sure, we could do that. We've reached
Certainly.
out, Mr. Mitchell in the past has reached out to the principals of each of the schools and had the principals reach out to the parents about collecting the balances as well, but we can certainly do that. And I know, again, the high school normally reaches out to all the seniors to
Right.
tell them they have to pay their balance or they can't walk for graduation. So, you know, we try to work on that very diligently, but, you know, I think at one point in time, Mr. Fiorella would have to correct us. I think it was $50,000 at one time we had negative
Right.
debt. So
I remember that.
get up there. Mr. Collins, you have a question?
Maybe Adolfo can answer this, but who's not here. But students who are in arrears or owe money for whatever, whether it's a lost book or, you know, in this case, you know, food, do you have the ability or the willingness to take away extracurriculars? My school, like, they can't go to the prom. You can't participate in sports because we're obligated to give an education, but we're not obligated to allow people to go to dances. So I'm only asking. It's not a suggestion.
Mr. Mitchell?
That is historically what we've done. I don't think legally we can do it. Like and I know that this has been challenged in other school departments, but the expectation is, and I'm confident that they will do that again soon, that all senior obligations, like those kinds of things, any dues, any lunch payments that are outstanding, that those issues be resolved before you get a diploma. So they do that, Mr. Collins.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Shauna at all in regards to that? So Shauna, if you could, for the next meeting, could you get us an update in regards to the debt that's still outstanding by school, and work with the administration to get that to the each of the school principals, see if we can start working on that again like we've done in the past couple of years?
Certainly.
Right.
I'd love to
Okay.
include, if
Go
we
ahead.
could too, just the number of accounts.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
thank you.
no, we can get that by school.
Thank
So
you.
we'll get it. Okay, anything else for Mrs. Spillane? Okay, I don't see anyone, so Shauna, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. DeJesus, you're up next. Facilities report.
So we've had construction started at the new guidance wing down at the high
Yeah.
school.
Right,
They did a lot of demo there. I would say they're about 80% of demo done at those spaces.
okay,
And we've also had the contractor start the split unit for the IT closet over at North Cumberland.
right. Okay.
They put up the condenser on the roof today. And then they're starting to work on the inside stuff as well.
Okay,
There's a lot of cleaning at the elementary school at Cumberland Hill and also at the high school, getting ready for these big moves that we're having in June.
okay. Mr. Pignano, is the same plan that we've done in the past, is to rent a couple of trailers and have the things from the schools put into the trailers?
Well, those bids, when those bids are due in, I'm not exactly sure if Colliers is gonna handle it that way. I imagine there'll be some of that, but they've
Okay,
prepared an RFP. I think they got about, numerous bidders.
okay,
And it's a little different this time because we're moving stuff from one school to another.
right,
And you have to have a special certificate in the state of Rhode Island to go on the road if you're a mover. So where we used Isaac in the past, because they were a Massachusetts firm, but they were the lowest price. They didn't have to transport anything. We just took stuff out of the middle schools and stored it in the parking lot in trailers. So there was nothing going on the road. So I'm not sure they'll be able to bid this time, and we'll see what comes in, but
we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Smith?
Yes, do you think it would be worthwhile to, since we know that this is going to be every single year, we're going to be moving one and then moving it back and then moving another and moving it back. So is it worthwhile to try to see if we can get several year bid or for both sides of it?
well, what we're looking to do is we're gonna move the furniture from Cumberland Hill to the high school. And that furniture will stay there all 5 years. We're not gonna then move Ashton's furniture and then Garvin's furniture. We're gonna just move it once. And then when Cumberland Hill opens, we'll buy out of the FF&E money that we have in the bond. We'll replenish that school's furniture. So there won't be 5 major moves because that would be costly. You're right.
Right, okay, so then it's in there, it's in that.
Yeah, that
projection.
Cumberland Hill
makes
furniture
sense.
will stay at the high school for all 5 years.
And, all right, and so then every other school, they are going to be getting new furniture as part of the bond.
Cumberland Hill is gonna get completely all new furniture because their furniture's moved. It depends on what's in the FF&E and stuff. Every other school might not get all new furniture, but they all will be getting new furniture. I don't know if it would be every piece of furniture. at the other schools, but it'll be necessary at Cumberland Hill because we're moving everything out.
Right. I guess my question then is what are we going to be doing with those other schools? Are we going to have a move out, and where is that storage then? So I can go read more on it, and I apologize because I don't know the specifics.
We'll probably be able to store a lot of that furniture at the schools themselves,
Okay.
in cafeterias, in the gym, those type of things. So, we'll see how it may require bringing in a couple of trailers on grounds to store. We'll see. I mean, that next one's a whole year away. We'll see how
Right.
where we
Okay.
are 1 year from now when we do that next school, which will be Garvin.
Right. That makes sense. Thank you so much for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, anyone else? All right, hearing none for facilities. Will, that's it? You're up to date?
There is one more question
ahead.
for Will then.
Sure.
And Will, can you tell us what the update is with this Garvin slide? Because I mean, clearly looking at the pictures, I know that there's been discussions that the contact person is saying that it's vandalism, but it certainly doesn't look like vandalism. It looks like what every typical child does, and that is they climb the slide backwards. So the structure wasn't reinforced. So I know that we've passed a resolution. I'm just concerned now that maybe that vandalism, we should be pushing back on it.
So from what I've understand from the contractor that we had come out to view most of all our playgrounds, they did say and recommended that was vandalized at the time. I thought I had some pictures where when I got told that the slide was broken that night, I went out there to take some pictures. I can't find them on my phone right now to provide that, but there was a lot of muddy footprints everywhere.
Right. And I think that you see this with slides everywhere. So it really looks like the side was not reinforced, that it wasn't like a true act of vandalism. It's just the use. So what stops it from happening again then? Because it's not happening with the other slides. And to me, it's a poor quality in the structure of the arms of it. And yes, I've seen the picture, so thank you for that.
Mrs. Smith, just to give you an update in regards to it, the playgrounds, most of the elementary schools, if not all of them, they were paid for and installed by the PTO parents. And that I remember clearly that the town council gave each school PTO $5,000 towards the cost of playgrounds. And then the PTOs raised the money themselves. They arranged for installation. The school department had nothing to do with the installation of these playgrounds whatsoever. And the cost for the repairs are falling on us as
Right.
the school district when we had nothing to do with it. I think, that needs to be out there that we didn't pay for these. The parents, the PTOs did, and rightfully so, they should pay for it as well. But then again, they provide so much to the school districts, to the children for enrichment and things like that, and field trips, that we're kind of left holding the bag to pay for it. Now,
Right.
it was hoped that the mayor would allow us to use impact fee money. But from what we're told is that the impact fee money can only go towards paying down debt for the town. So we're stuck paying this bill, but it's not budgeted. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Prignano and Will went around with the contractor, and we've got what, $30,000 worth of repairs for playground equipment.
Right. Well, the concern that I have is that, yes, some of our public did go out and made those contacts, and I've read through that contract as well. And I appreciate that the PTO did it. And, I was contacted by one of the people that helped with that.
Right.
And looking at the contracts, they clearly should be covering this, even if it's just a percentage, as they're saying. And one person is saying no, and I believe that was John who went around with you, Will. And he's saying no, it's it's not. And then the public contacted somebody else within the company and they're saying, absolutely, we should be covering this. So I think that it just behooves us to push back on it. We know what that number is going to be based on the resolution, but I just believe that we should be pushing back and getting them to cover part of this through the company and through their coverage. So I would just like us to.
Well,
to try
it's
to
a
do that.
pushback, but we're not the company that bought it. So the PTO would have to push back, not us, because we had nothing to do with it as a
Okay,
school district.
okay. And so the contract was signed with the PTO and not through any of the school.
That's correct.
Okay.
They
All right, I
raised
will reach
they
back out
raised
to that
all the money
PTO
for
member.
the playground, so it would be their responsibility because they bought it and paid for it, even though it's fallen on us to take care of, so.
Okay. So the public reaching out or having somebody from that PTO reaching out is the correct way of doing it. So I will reach back out personally to the people from the PTO that
Right.
didn't install it and ask for their assistance, because before we're paying out that bill, we should be trying to get some reimbursement in some sort of way for it.
I
you know.
agree, but like I said a little while ago, it's hard to say to the PTO, you come up with the $7,000 to fix the slide,
Right.
yet the PTO does so much for each school, giving them money for the field trips and things like that, and buying books and, raising funds for everything else, that it's kind of a slap in the face to them as well, saying, because, you did it, but give us your money as well, every year.
Yeah,
It's
and I don't
hard.
think that we should be doing that either. I don't think that we should be having the PTO go out and do it, and that's fine. I'm just looking for assistance to get that price reduced.
Right.
And if it comes to the PTO, then that's what we should be doing. That we should be pushing back, or the PTO should be pushing back to try to recoup some of that through some type of
Understand.
insurance with them. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
All right. Will, do you have anything else?
Well,
I
we
do
have
now.
submitted that bill to the trust.
We have. Okay.
So
All
I
right.
had called the trust and they said our premium for the current year was already in place and it wouldn't affect us next year. And we've submitted that bill through the trust. So there'll be a deductible of a couple of $1,000, but that'll be all we'll pay.
Okay. Well, it's 2 is better than 7.
That's fantastic to hear. Thank
Right.
you, Alex.
Okay.
You're welcome.
With that, I'm going to get moving on these resolutions so we can get this to 6 o'clock if all possible. So we have a resolution SCPR 05-2021-13, a resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase agreement with RLC Properties of Coventry, Rhode Island, to remove and dispose of the existing walk-in refrigerator at the high school in the amount not to exceed $10,000. It is coming out of the food services contract. That's, but, we have money set aside for these things. So, Mr. Pregnano, did this go out to bid, or how did we get this company, RLC?
Yes, we went out to bid. We only had one bidder, and because we only had one bidder, I instructed Will to call that vendor because he's done business with us before. He's actually the vendor. He's a general contractor. He painted almost all the classrooms in the trans building and the elementary schools a couple of
Okay.
years ago when we painted everything. So
Right.
we're familiar with them. His bid was 11.5. I asked Will, I said, Will, see if he'll do it for 10, and he did.
Okay,
So that's why his invoice might say 11.5, but he's going to do it for 10.
right, I did see that. All right, so we only had
So he's
one,
removing the walk-in refrigerator that Shauna was talking about.
right. So you mentioned that the last meeting about that having to get done, so we have one bidder, RLC Properties. They've agreed to lower the amount from 11.5 to $10,000. I need a motion for approval.
I apologize. I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Because that and the next one, -14, are all related to this walk-in. I, when it was mentioned at the last meeting, I thought that we were going to be getting a report to tell us specifically what was wrong, because there was some work that needed to get done, and there was a thought that perhaps it didn't need to get replaced, but there needed to be something fixed. So I just want to understand more about exactly what went wrong with this, and what it is, and how old the piece of equipment was.
Will, do you have any idea how old this equipment was and what was wrong with it?
So there is a name tag on the door and it says 1996. That's when it was installed. I'm assuming that because of the name tag. A lot of the board that they placed inside this walk-in refrigerator is peeling off what they had on the other side, which it looks like plywood and glue. All of it is peeling off, and she's getting a moisture problem in there as well. And I imagine, I think, I'm not sure, but I believe the condenser is going on that unit.
Okay. Does that kind of answer your question, Mr. Smith, in regards to that?
It does answer the question. I wish
Yeah.
we just had more information specifically on it, because if it is still running and it's just the outside and we could do it, but if it's a condenser, that's a whole different issue.
We have a concern that, and everything Will said is true. We have a concern though that moisture problem is resulting in mold in that refrigerator box.
Right, and that's why I was wondering if it's
So
a
it has to
repairable
go.
or-
It has
Well,
to go.
If it's peeling
Yeah.
away, I can understand why it would have
Right.
mold, but is it remediated or is it a lot of money? So,
I couldn't tell you. I mean,
And like
other than-
Shauna said, we had a 5-year capital plan a few years ago when money was rolling in from BBP, and we basically replaced almost every piece of equipment we have in the district.
Right.
We need to spend some of that money, because if not, not RIDE, but the federal government makes you take action. You can't build up unbelievable amounts of funds in there. They make you reduce your food service prices. There's a whole host of things that the government does. So you have to spend down that money, and it's certainly worth spending down. And I think we got a pretty good price on this piece of equipment, to tell you the truth. We expected it to be more like 50,000.
Right, I
And
believe
the
last year
vendor
we,
that's doing it was mentioning about a savings, and that you may be able to go to National Grid to get another savings on it.
right,
and based upon the year of the equipment and the fact that we do have budget funding related to this, and then we're not going to be.
And there may be a rebate on it because it's more efficient, that type of stuff.
Right, right. So I feel comfortable with that now. Thank you.
okay, all right, so I need a
Okay.
motion, unless there's any questions for Mr. Collins. I need a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0 for number 13. Number 14 is the other half of this. It's SCPR 05-2021-14. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase from Kittredge of Agawam, Mass. For a walk-in refrigerator at the high school in the amount not to exceed $30,755.87. It is budgeted in the food service segregated account. And this is to replace the piece of equipment. So, Mr. Pugnano, let's go out to bid.
Yes, it did.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Pugnano in regards to this refrigerator?
I
Hearing
would just
none, I
like
need,
to ask,
go ahead.
if we could just get confirmation on the rebate from National Grid afterwards, if we could just get a follow-up on, and if
Sure.
it's going to occur.
Yeah, it'd be
Thank you.
nice. All right, we need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. And could you follow up in regards to this, Mr. Pugnano, in regards to if we're gonna be able to get a rebate on this at all? Okay, next is the SCPR 05-2021-15. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a contract with E&E Systems of Canton, Mass. to install energy control systems at the Cumberland High School Wellness Center in the amount not to exceed $104,362. It is budgeted in the facilities budget. Mr. Pignano, did we go out to bid on this, or did we go with our
No,
contract?
we didn't, because we are going with a maintenance contract on this, because we're trying to install the same controls district-wide, and we have E&E's controls in seven of our 5 elementary schools, the 2 middle schools, and E&E is now doing the energy controls on the 2 new Univent projects that I believe
Right,
are going through the bond, this
Yep.
summer
yeah,
at the trans building and the old and at the
Okay.
main high school. So with this being done, there's a couple of areas in the building where we don't have any controls on. And when I mean controls, we don't have the ability to turn anything on or off or set timers, any of that type of stuff. But those things have led to some, I would say, significant savings in our utility accounts over the last several years. Things don't run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fans and et cetera, things that are in the buildings, can be set and they go off. Temperatures are turned down at night, all those type of things that if you're relying on people to do it manually, just usually doesn't happen, So what I've talked with Paul about, Paul Murphy, who I think all you people know, he's appeared on our Zooms a number of times. I said, Paul, how much? I said, get me a price on what it would do to get controls in the wellness building. We've never had anything at the wellness building. It's nothing but a problem for us. It never worked from, I think, really day one when it was built, as far as any of the controls or any of that type of stuff. So I said, I might not have the money, Paul. I said, would you guys do it and allow us to pay for it over 5 years if we wanted $20,000 a year rather than the 100-something thousand? And so he came back, because we did this one other time with them. They did that for us, and he said that his owner, Lindsay, would do that. And so I'm hoping now, with the surplus growing a little bit, that we'll be able to just knock these things out without doing that sort of stuff. But we need to get control of the science building, the science wing, the wellness center, the boilers in the trans building that are brand new. We have no controls on those. And I'm trying to pick these things off one at a time with either money. Some of them we can do on bill billing with working through National Grid. There's going to be a rebate on it, but I put the resolution through for the maximum. I expect it to be 90 with the rebate documents I've already filled out. But they would put that 104,000 and let us pay it over 60 months of utility bills. So they would just add it on to the high school utility bill if we had to do that work and we didn't have any funds to pay for it. I don't think we have to do that. I think we'll be able to pay for this. And now I want to look at the science wing, which is another building that we have rooms, some rooms in the 50s and some rooms in the 90s. And Paul, you may be familiar with that. I think your wife works in that location. So we're trying to get these things under control, get controls in all our buildings. And
so E&E is the sole source,
right?
And they're on the state Rhode Island bid list now.
Yep. And we'll probably pay for this. And if our surplus holds, we'll just probably pay for this and not pay for it over the 5 years. But when I approached Paul a couple of months ago to do the work, and this is going to include, they're going to rewire the entire building, if I understand. Am I right, Will? Was Will
I'm
there?
sorry, I didn't hear that last.
They're going to rewire the building because to have 2 electricians come in and ring out the wiring and stuff like that would probably cost us more money. They'll be rewiring the building, putting in their controls, and we'll be able to grab control of that building.
That's correct.
Okay.
I think you've got the full proposal that I sent to Cindy to to include in your,
I do, I have it.
packets or whatever you call them.
I have it, yeah, it's 6 pages. Yeah, 6
And Alex,
pages.
you'll let us know what the rebate is once it's received as well? Just like the other one?
It's about 14,000. The price will be about 90 instead of the 104.
So you'll just let us know when that comes in. That would be great.
Yeah, it'll probably come in. It'll probably come in as a revenue in next year's budget. Probably won't come in. You know, they won't even probably complete the work, and by the time it's expected or whatever, that will not come in this year. It'll be in next fiscal year. That rebate will come in.
Okay, so we have a SCPR 5 2021-15 award to E&E Systems for the Wellness Center. The amount $104,362,000, not including any rebates. And I need a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
Second?
second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0 on that one. Next is number 16. SCPR 5 2021-16. Resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to approve the 4th and 5th progress payments to ADS Construction, Inc. for the Cumberland High School Security Project in the amount of $127,950. The payment is coming out of an $832,000 master lease. And I did see paperwork that was in the folder for this resolution that it was signed off by
Colliers.
Colliers, stating that the work was completed.
Yeah, Colliers is our OPM. We're having them obviously sign off on all these
Right. So,
bond and lease bills.
so 4th and 5th, is there any more after this one, Alex? Or
Oh, yeah,
just-
there will be. That brings us up to about $400 and something thousand. The project's a $658,000 project. And then we're adding, approximately $300,000 now for another,
Right.
for the phase 2 to redo all those rooms. And
Okay,
so, yeah, there will be more coming.
all right, so I need a motion to approve SCPR 5 2021-16. The amount is $127,950 for the 4th and 5th progress payments. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mrs. Smith. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Thank you on that one. Next is number 17. SCPR 5 2021-17. Resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Dorado Architects of Providence, Rhode Island, for architectural and engineering services for the high school room renovations as part of the CHS security project. The amount is $22,828.80. And that payment as well is coming out of the $832,000 FY21 master lease. Anyone have any questions in regards to this one? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
Second?
second by Mrs. Smith. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Next is number 18, SCPR 5 2021-18. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Dorado Architects of Providence, Rhode Island, for architectural and engineering services for the Cumberland High School transitional building renovations in the amount not to exceed $32,087.99. This is coming out of the $79 million bond issue through the building committee. And the description is for stage 3 transitional building, $32,087.99.
Paul, If you look at all of that one and the next three, they're all out of the bond issue, and they're all for various projects. Some of
I
them,
see
the univents at the trans, the
Yes, I
univents
see.
at the main building. And if you look at the bills, you'll see what they're for. They're for
Right, I
design,
see it. Right, so
design
number-
drawing, schematics. It gives you the total of the bill, and it gives you the percent you're
All
paying
right,
as of
number
now.
18 is the stage 3 transitional building, $32,087.99. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Next one is SCPR 05-2021-19. Resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the original high school unit ventilators in an amount not to exceed $41,546.11. Again, this is coming out of the $79 million bond. This is for the high school ventilators, $41,546.11. Need a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Not everyone at once. Motion by Mr. Collins, second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Okay, next is SCPR 5-2021, number 20. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the Cumberland High School transitional building unit ventilators in an amount not to exceed $40,890.75. And again, this is coming out of the $79 million bond. This is for the transitional unit ventilators. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Thank you. Next is number, this is going forever. Number 21, SCPR 05-2021-21. A resolution authorizing and empowering the Cumberland School Committee to execute a purchase order with Toronto Architects of Providence, Rhode Island for architectural and engineering services for the JJM Cumberland Hill Elementary School renovations and addition not to exceed $132,052.44. Again, this is coming out of the $79 million bond, and this is for Cumberland Hill. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Collins,
Second.
second by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Next is a SCPR 05-2021-22. A resolution empowering the Cumberland School Committee to approve payment for Colliers International Province, Rhode Island for owners' representation services for the month of March in the amount not to exceed $12,710.84. Colliers is the owner's representative for services, and the payment is coming out of the $79 million bond. Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion's
Second.
approved by Mr. Collins, seconded by Mrs. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 3-0. Yeah, we'll get there. And next is CHS activity reports. Those normally get filed if they're in the folder. And next is public comment. If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak to the Fiscal Finance Subcommittee, please state your name and address for the record and making yourself known to Mr. Chandler so he can unmute you. Mr.
I do
Chandler,
not
do
see
you see
anybody at this
anyone?
time.
You see none at this time. Okay, we'll move forward. I need a motion to adjourn at 6:06 PM.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mrs. Smith,
Second.
second by Mr. Collins. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it at 6:06 PM. Thank you. And then I guess we'll give it a minute and we'll go right to fiscal.